What's going on, guys? So in today's edition of Sasuke Shinden, the Teacher Star Pupil, we're going to be covering a huge moment in the story that is going to make you look at Naruto and everything that Naruto's done as Hokage, and it's going to make you appreciate all of the changes that Naruto's made since he's become Hokage. And really and truly, you can start this process going as far back as Tsunade, but you really see the change in terms of what Naruto's able to do. And one thing I've always said is that the best way for you to get an idea of how well written a character is or what their impact is to see how other people in that universe view the character. And we get a very, very philosophical as well as heartbreaking moment in regards to how Naruto is viewed by the character of Lily, the antagonist of this arc. So obviously, if you clicked on this video by accident, you have no idea what I'm talking about. You don't know what Sasuke Shinden, Teacher Star Pupil is. You don't know when in the timeline this takes place. You don't know why Sarada has a 3-tomo in this arc, etc., etc. I recommend going down to the homepage of the YouTube channel, scrolling down to the Naruto novel section, looking at the Naruto novels that are in the Boruto era, and you'll want to click on the playlist that is titled Sasuke Shinden, the Teacher Star Pupil, and you will get all your answers right there. I've been covering the entire story from start to finish, and this is going to be one of the last videos that's going to be popping up for this playlist. It's a little longer than usual, but there was a lot more to cover in this novel than a lot of the other stories that we've done. So with all that being said, though, if you're still here, I'm assuming you're all caught up, so let's get right into the actual discussion. So this scene here picks up a little after Boruto jumps after Lily, and what I like about this scene here is that when it opens up, we get a moment where Lily is asking some very hard-hitting questions, and right here, the author of this story is making you view Lily as a sympathetic character. I want you to think about people like Sasori, where when you got Sasori's flashback, you immediately looked at him and said, well, I guess he ain't that bad of a person. He just got a bad hand dealt to him. So you're getting a similar type situation here. I won't go as far as to say that this is as extreme as what Sasori had to go through. This is more so kind of like how Sumire had her father who brainwashed her to hate the Hidden Leaf Village. This is very similar to that. However, this is still pretty tragic in of itself. Well, the way that this relates to Naruto is as Lily's having her moments and she's reflecting, she is asking if she dies, is she gonna go to heaven like she's been told, or is she gonna go to hell? She's wondering why the people who are part of the Purple Moon religion, the group that she's a follower of, why they hate her. She's thinking about the times where her father, who was the Holy Master, the leader of the Purple Moon religion, this extremist faction on the Land of Water, would spend time beating her on a daily basis and beating her until she stopped crying. And it was because she was not performing the jutsu that he was trying to pass down to her. So basically, her ability to use lightning release in order to control the bioelectrical currents inside of the body and control the bodily functions of people, that was a hidden jutsu. So think of this like the shadow paralysis jutsu, the partial expansion jutsu, the mind transfer jutsu. Those are not Kekkei Genkai. Those are jutsu that can be taught to anybody. It's just that they are just specifically passed down within the clan. It's not a bloodline trait. And what I like about this is that as Lily comes to, she realizes that the part of the ship that she's in, it should be underwater. She 100% intended to drown here. And you have Boruto talking to her, and we get this really awesome scene where Boruto and Lily are kind of going back and forth, and she's saying, your whole perspective is tainted because you are the Hokage's son. You don't know what it's like. And I like that right there, because what we're getting is something very similar to what you had in the Injustice comic books, where Superman and the Flash, they're having a huge debate. They're going back and forth and they're playing a chess game, and the game is taking place in super speed as they're playing chess, and they're going back and forth over Superman's agenda, and the Flash is asking the tough moral questions that are meant to push Superman. You get a similar situation here with Lily, where Boruto's asking her, well, if you have this much energy into attacking the Land of Fire and trying to bring down the Land of Fire from within, if you have that much energy, why not try and fix your own island? Why not try and just work with the Mizukage? Why not try and handle things that way? Why are you trying to force everything upon Konoha? And we get a really intense back and forth, and it's during that time where Boruto talks about how things are on the Land of Fire, where for a second, Lily openly admits that she's jealous of everything that Boruto was able to experience because he had a different educational upbringing than her, whereas Boruto was allowed to think for himself and come to his own conclusions. Lily was getting everything that she believes in beaten into her by force, and we get the revelation that the group of ninjas who attacked Konohamaru and that Sasuke is fighting, one of the ninjas that Sasuke ended up killing was Lily's father. So with the scene and the context finally being set, it's here I'm going to begin reading the passage from the light novel. Then I'm going to come back to you guys my thoughts, and gotta say this is a really big one, and I hope that they adapt this in the anime. So it's here that I quote, "Boruto let out a sigh and then looked at her in exasperation as he grumbled. Did you guys seriously think you could crush Konoha with such cowardly methods? If you got the time and the energy to attack others, use it to make your own island better," Boruto said. "You know, you're right," Lily lowered her eyes. "But like, people are motivated by emotion, you know? I don't think I was right or anything, but the one thing I inherited from my master is a loyalty to my home. In the end, I couldn't walk away," Lily said. "Even when your master tried to kill you?" Boruto asked, incredulous. "No." The strength drained out of her suddenly, and she leaned her back against the wall. She felt like it was harder to breathe now, maybe because she had confessed her guilt. Even still, Lily continued to explain herself to Boruto as she took shallow breaths. "Education's important, Boruto-kun. We're basically monkeys when we're born. The fact that we're able to live rich, cultured lives is because we're educated. We're taught everything our ancestors learned before us, for better or for worse. We're slaves to the education we get from our parents and our society," Lily said. "Could you kill your comrades if your group told you to do so?" Boruto asked. "Of course," Lily replied without hesitation. "We think death is honorable. If you die fighting to spread the teachings of the Purple Moon, you go to heaven," Lily said. I don't really get it. Boruto felt creeped out by Lily's words somehow. But it's like, I don't know, like you're leaving your life or death to the group. It's just not fair, Boruto replied. "Not fair?" Lily cocked her head curiously to one side. Boruto continued flatteringly, finding the subject almost too much for him to comprehend. "I mean, ninja, we're changing with the times too, you know. My dad, the principal at the academy, everyone says so. Back in the old days, it would have been unthinkable to have a policy of capturing enemies instead of killing them whenever possible. But we live in an era of peace now, so we can have the breathing room to do that kind of stuff. They say you gotta change with the times, although that stuff was before I was born, so I don't really know, I don't really understand it." Boruto lifted his face. The bright eyes he'd inherited from his father, eyes that were so much brighter than his father's, stared right at Lily. "And then I guess what's left is to mix the old stuff with the new stuff. Adapt it for us to use it now. I don't know," Boruto said. "For me," Lily took a shallow breath, "I have such a hard time accepting that kind of thinking. I grew up having it beaten into me that our mission is to protect our doctrine, the religion that's been passed down for hundreds of years," Lily replied. "I kind of get that too," Boruto said slowly, staring at the dark water. "I used to really hate science. I thought I'd never be okay with it, but old man Sasuke taught me all kinds of stuff, and it's like I've started thinking maybe it's not as bad as all that, although there's still loads of stuff I can't accept. I don't know if I'll ever accept it. So," Boruto replied. "What?" Lily challenged. "Are you trying to say that you managed to change so I can change too?" Lily replied. "No, that's not exactly it." Boruto fumbled for the words. He hated science. He absolutely detested it. That feeling, it hadn't changed, but even so, maybe he had to start taking steps towards it. It was only since Sasuke became the master of Team 7 that he started thinking like this. "We just had different educations, huh?" Lily said, sounding jealous somehow as she looked at Boruto. "I wanted to think freely the way that you do, but it's too late now." She took a deep breath. "I can't change now, but yeah, the generation after me, I'm sure they'll adapt. I want to believe that." In quote. So what I like right here is that their interaction is only brief, but the way that you see a glimpse into how Naruto is viewed is, look at what Boruto says. In the older way of doing things, so in the time before Naruto became Hokage, in the time when Hiruzen Sarutobi would have been Hokage, this idea of capturing a ninja alive, no, that's your enemy. They're a threat to the village. Kill them right now, and we'll worry about getting information later on. There's always gonna be information. We'll find it. That's what people like Ibiki are there for. After we get the information, we'll just kill them. The way that Naruto's doing things now is, yeah, we might have disagreements, but instead of just going straight for the head and taking these people out, let's see if we can talk. Let's see if we can find that mutual understanding, that mutual ground. Let's let violence be the last option that we go towards. And what I like about this is the fact that as Boruto and Lily are kind of going back and forth, you have this line where Lily says that maybe in the generations after her, her religion and the people that have been following this doctrine for hundreds of years, maybe they can get to the point like how Boruto got to that point where Boruto's allowed to think freely and Konoha has begun to change under Naruto's direction. She hopes that that's something that could happen for her island in the land of water. They're in a bit of a standoff when it comes to following the peace talks of the Mizukage. They really don't respect the Mizukage Chodoro. So it's one of those things where the option's there for them, but they're very stubborn. And what I also like about this is you get this moment where Lily comes to the conclusion as she and Boruto are going back and forth that maybe it's because of the way that she's been educated and brought up that she's seeing the world in this prison, because her mission, her father wanted her to come here and just do immediate damage to the Hidden Leaf Village, but the way that she wanted to do things was to gain favor over time and slowly win people over to their way of thinking and not to try and force their religion on other folks. So it's kind of interesting to see, basically she wanted to take the sleeper cell type of approach, and that's not what ended up happening here. But just the back and forth with Boruto and Lily, and how in that moment the narrator chooses to have Boruto have the internal monologue where he's saying that his own eyes are brighter than Naruto's. That's a callback to Sarada saying the same thing about Boruto's eyes. But also what's very interesting about this is that Boruto, through his own eyes, is causing the change that Naruto wanted to enact in the ninja world. He's reaching people that Naruto can't reach. So I think that this is very nice. Again, I think this reflects very nicely of Naruto's Hokage. However, I want to know from you guys, what are you guys' thoughts on this? Let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.